life day yet, right? Well, there you go. He's
Feels good to take a load off, doesn't it?
Sure does, Keats. Happy Life Day, gentlemen. I mean...
Happy Life Day to you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
You know, after Itchy sent us the invites to chill out at the house and just kick Dak.
Yeah, he says he has a new cool helmet. He's letting me try out later. I can't wait.
So getting past those interdictor cruisers on the way in sure was a hassle, wasn't it, boys?
Yeah, it was.
I was asleep, so I didn't say that. I'm a late sleeper, as you know.
Sure wasn't the spiked eggnog there, brother? For the
Eggnog, you mean port in a storm?
I'm not sure if that's canon or if that's a real drink, but I will... Okay.
The viewers know.
Okay.
Yeah, man, that eggnog went straight to my head.
Oh!
No.
It feels good. It feels good to be here on the holidays with my friends.
Yes, this is Yeats.
This is Jordan.
This is Keats.
Sharing with you a holiday special of sorts, celebrating Life Day with the World Between Worlds viewership. We wanted to give you guys something special back for those who have been following us throughout.
Sincerely.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. We're just hanging out, and there's a lot of people who want to listen to this. I feel very humbled for that. I don't know about you guys.
I still live with my mom.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too. What does that have to do with anything?
People shouldn't look up to me.
Oh, no, people should definitely look up to me, for sure.
Oh, no, for sure.
Yeah, you, not really, but, like, yeah.
Yeah, Yeats knows what he's doing. Yeats went to college.
I did. I guess that's true.
Jessica went to college, right?
She went to Jessica College so hard.
You went to technical college.
That's true.
I technically went to college.
Yeah, I'm in college.
I guess we should address the main point of this episode because, I mean, we've already established that it's the holidays we want to give back to you, but we also want to give you a chance to know us a little bit better because, you know, this is a Star Wars podcast. We don't really have a chance to talk about things outside of Star Wars, but we really want to, you know, just let you in on our lives a little bit, you know.
I mean, there's nothing really to me besides Star Wars outside of this podcast. I mean, my bed sheets are Star Wars.
I mean, in terms of man hours, absolutely, this dominates my entire life. But
no, yeah, for sure. Like this is probably 60% of me. But you know, there's dimensions to this person you hear, and I'm sure to Jordan and Yeats as well.
We asked some of our regular listeners to submit questions, and we are going to go into that. First, you know, just to steer the conversation away from Star Wars for a brief time, I'd really like to give the chance to talk about something that is not Star Wars. Because, you know, we go hard. I know, Jordan. I know. I'm sorry, Jordan. And I'm sorry, Icky and Lumpy and what's the last? Mala. You know, we all go pretty hard into cross-analyzing, deep-cut references. So I want to give everyone a chance to talk about something they love, maybe as much or as close to as Star Wars, that is not Star Wars.
I love comics.
Fandom. Yeah, Jordan, comics. And we certainly try and give you as many chances to talk about comics as you can. So talk about maybe about your first time getting into comics and some of your favorite comics.
First time getting into comics?
This is comic books, not
not like Star Wars comics.
It's like not like comedians.
Oh yeah.
This is like comics, not Star Wars comics.
Yeah. So first time that I saw Gabriel Iglesias, I would like. Yo, I'm a fucking comic. Yeah, I love comics. First comic, I remember getting an X-Men comic when I was like in 5th grade. I got like a Spider-Girl comic when I was in 5th grade. Oh, I loved Bone by Jeff Smith. Love Bone, so good.
Who is Bone? Because I don't know who that is either.
Bone?
Yeah.
He's like a little white dude. He's like a little white guy with a big nose.
Do you know him?
Yeah, it's like a highbrow children's comic, right?
Yeah, it's like a kid's book, but it's so good.
Yeah, but there's like adult references and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
And there's like some blood. There's a little violence in it.
Yeah. For me, Bone always like reminded me of like late 90s or early 2000s like spooky core like children's cartoons, like specifically Courage the Cowardly Dog. That was the vibe I got off of it.
Is it ongoing or is it
no,
older?
You know where it was in?
It's really long, but
I'm not sure if you remember this, Keats, but Mom used to get Disney Channel like mini magazines from Publix. Do you remember? Like they were at the checkout area. It's like with the soap opera magazines. Like for kids, there is also like a Disney magazine with all the new things coming to Disney Channel.
Kinda.
And at the back back of the book there were Bones comics, and it was like the one like non-Disney property. There would be like Goofy movie comics and stuff like that, like Mouseketeers, and then there would be also Bone. That's all I've read Bone from. But
yeah,
it was in
Bone
there.
went under a couple publishers.
I have zero idea.
So pitch
awesome,
me
though. It's awesome.
Bone in like 2 sentences, Jordan.
Bone. He's from Boneville, and he's with his like 2 cousins, and they get lost in this like valley area, and there's like this Lord of the Locusts, and there's these rat people that like attack them, and then they meet Thorn, and she like happens to be like a princess of like this like ancient like cult thing, not like really a cult, and then they just get entangled with her and the whole story with the valley. Yeah, he's like lost in this world, and then he just like they accept him in there, and then he just becomes like a part of the family almost, even though he's like because he's not a human. He's like this little white creature thing with like a big nose, and he's like among a bunch of humans. And then they accept him. Yeah, no, Bone is fucking awesome. For like a kid's like comic, it is so good. I read it in color. It was originally in black and white. I've been wanting to get the omnibus that's in black and white for the longest time, because I have like the Scholastic reissues that are colored.
So you read this a lot.
Yeah, I remember I read it multiple times when I was younger, and I remember in 8th grade I like messed up my knee, and I was just like couch ridden, and I just reread the entire Bone in like a day, and I watched a lot of Scooby-Doo.
And Jordan, all of this passion did not go nowhere, right? Because you do want to work on comics and have been working on a few different stories.
Yes, I have.
I guess we'll just keep it short. Jordan had a horror story in regards to publishing, trying to get one of his comics finished.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I was actually thinking about it on the way here, and it's pissed me off. But yeah, I love comics. I love indie comics. I love superhero comics.
What's some of your favorite comics right now?
Like ongoing ones?
Yeah.
I've just been getting into Green Lantern, and Grant Morrison, who's my favorite comic book writer, he just started writing Green Lantern. It's 2 issues in right now, and it is awesome. Because like
You can really tell from that early.
Yeah, I mean, because he has like a completely different view on it. Grant Morrison is just the fucking best writer ever.
Yeah, we should
like,
explain. Jordan loves Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison is daddy for him.
Oh, 100%. I will read anything he writes. Yeah, he just like everyone kind of ignored that Green Lantern's like a space cop. That's kind of what he is. He's literally an intergalactic cop, and so like this really puts him like in the shoes of like a detective. So he's like a detective in this. Like we've never seen like a interrogation like chamber, and like he arrests some like aliens, and he's like interrogating them. There's this giant squirrel thing that like mutates. It's just like awesome. He has like a clear vision of like what he wants to do with the character, and I'm like really excited where it's going, because I've been wanting to get into this character for a while. There's just not really any runs that I want to read. I just read Kyle Rayner though, who's the fifth Green Lantern.
The 24th.
The 24th Green Lantern. He was the Green Lantern in the 90s, and I read some of his JLA stuff when he was in the Justice League, but I never read his like solo stories. And I read it, and immediately I texted my friend Adam, who's another comic book fan. I was like, bro, this is like in my top 10 comics already. I can tell that I want to reread this in like a couple months.
What else?
What about you, Yeats? What about your comics?
Comics. Yeah, I have Jordan to thank for getting into comics. We talked about it on the podcast. It was Phantom Revealed. It was a Star Wars comic with Orsing on the front cover, and Star Wars comics kind of got me hooked. Like in the same weekend, I read like recently within the past few years, like halfway through college, I read like over one weekend Batman Hush. I read like 3 or 4 volumes of Berserk, which is a manga, and I bought a Darth Vader omnibus of Dark Horse Darth Vader stories that was published by Marvel after the changeover during the Disney buy. All those 3 things combined, I really liked all of them. I think I just got lucky. I just was reading stories that I really loved. And then pretty much from there on, I was buying comics all the time. I love indie comics. I think it's not that I don't like superhero comics. I have a huge stack of superhero comics that I want to read.
So much of life now is just consumed by superhero.
That's 100% it. Like, superheroes are everywhere. I just don't need that in my life right now. Like, I would much rather read like a really good like detective story, really good sci-fi story, really good comedy. So yeah, I mean, I pretty much like live off of Image Comics at this point. Like, pretty much artwork has to grab me. A unique vision for a world has to grab me. Obviously, those are all things that Star Wars has in spades.
I mean, yeah, obviously Yeats just said, like, you have Jordan to thank for comics. And I, same way. If someone was said, like, I was curious about comics, what would you say, like, is the first book they should read and why they should read it?
It depends on their style. I mean, like, with my ex, like, I knew she liked, like, animals. And I read this amazing story by Brian K. Vaughan called Pride of Baghdad, and it was based off a true story with like during the war, this zoo was like bombed or something, and the animals got free, and the story was based around this like family of lions, and I knew she liked animals, so I was like, oh, here, like, read this comic, it's really, really good, and she loved it, and then she got into comics.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I would say definitely like an indie comic is definitely the way to go. Not like a superhero, because everyone always gets intimidated, like, oh, do I need to like read a bunch of stuff to like understand it?
It's like the golden age of indie comics right now. It was like so easy for me to like find things that I liked like immediately and just start reading. And yeah, now I'm like hooked. I have too many comics I don't know what to do with.
Something light, something easy to read. I'd definitely probably recommend like a first comic to anybody. Would probably be like Why the Last Man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little long, so it might be intimidating.
You recommended that to me for like over a year, and it's completely.
It's just the best.
Thank you for recommending it to
Of
me.
course, man.
I haven't finished it, even though I recommend it like once a week that you finish it.
Yeah, but you know, he did it first.
And I
recommended it to you for like 6 months. That's
right now, for everyone listening, read Why the Last Man. I told the Yeats to read it, didn't regret it. I told Keats to read it, didn't regret it.
It's definitely the best comic I've ever read.
Adam told me, dude, thank you so much for showing me this comic. I bought all of the trades in a week and I read it, and I was like, bro, you're fucking welcome.
Yeah, it's crazy good. I remember, just for, you know, I'm sure some Star Wars fans are on a similar page, like that they have already watched a lot of the stuff. I was watching the like series finale for Rebels and finishing the last trade of Why the Last Man like within the same like 2 weeks or so, and I like literally between the both of those things I like cried like every day. Like I was just like, there was just like a reason to cry like every single day, whether it's a character, you know. It was rough. It was rough, but it was like both, you know. Why the Last Man is an amazing story. Love it. Can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, I like comics. I like them. I mostly read Star Wars comics, but I have read a couple comics that have really gotten to me. Why the Last Man was probably the first comic where I felt like super immersed and super like I could like a page turner. Like I couldn't wait to finish it, but you know, then I just fell off because I have a habit of doing that. Also, and I have you to thank for this, Yeats. Junji Ito became one of my all-time favorite writers.
Junji Ito is wicked good. It's definitely one of my favorites of all time.
There's this story he wrote called The Long Dream. If you can read that online or something.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
It's absolutely terrifying. The concept itself will scare you. Brian K. Vaughan and Junji Ito are probably my top two. But yeah, I'm not a huge comic person. I think I would say my favorite. You actually recommended me Darth Vader in the Ghost Prison, and it has like still stuck to me to this day as like one of the best stories for Star Wars, even though it's not canon.
Yeah, Darth Vader and the Ghost Prison is really good. I remember getting it from the library, reading it. Next day I went to the comic book store. I was like, I need to own this, and I bought it.
I have an opinion, and I want to know how you feel about this. I feel like there's a Darth Vader oversaturation in general.
Oh, for sure.
You agree? Okay, I want to see if we're on the same boat.
There's only like a character that's constantly in your face.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I just feel like there's too much information on him.
So Keats, you like movies?
You could say that. Yeah, I love movies. Movies is like my biggest passion. Is it bigger than Star Wars? Nah, Star Wars is bigger, of course. But I do love movies. Excuse me, I love cinema. I love cinema.
Yeah.
Film is a really important part of my life. I really want to be a film editor when I go out there in the real world one day and start a career from that. Also, a lot of my close friends know that film scores are a big part of my life.
Yeah, it's true.
Huge part. He literally can't drive without putting on like a score from a movie.
I don't know. Film scores just immerse me. They make me feel like I'm living a more exciting life, a more interesting life.
I feel you on that.
Yeah, I mean, like if I put on this soundtrack to Inception, and they're like it's the song where like they're coming up with like a plan, and I'm just hanging out around the house. I feel like I'm actually getting something done instead of just reading my 25th Star Wars comic of the day.
I think you're just a really smart human being.
I think it's just common sense to score your own life. I have a YouTube channel where I edit music to films that I really enjoy.
Keats, since it'll never be up, why don't you talk about your project that got pulled down by Disney?
Oh, yeah, dude, hell yeah. Okay, so Disney was a fucking asshole. Actually,
It wasn't even Disney, it was Studio Ghibli.
It was Studio Ghibli was, you know, they may seem very
Hayao
cuddly and-
Miyazaki, what a fucking asshole.
Yeah, they may seem cute and cuddly, but they're corporate slugs is what they are. I put up a video. I was attempting to put up a video on YouTube and Facebook. Neither one worked. And I was going to rescore some select scenes from The Force Awakens using music from Hayao Miyazaki movies. No, not for any reason in particular, Hayao Miyazaki. That was a score I particularly like. And so I thought if I add it on top of Force Awakens, it could probably increase the movie's emotional value. And it did. Like, I mean, I showed both of you. How did you feel about it?
I loved it. Some of them like worked so well. I remember like the Rey scenes with the Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, the Princess
like,
Otaka theme.
So good.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I mean, yeah, Princess Mononoke is one of my favorite scores. So yeah, I'm with you there. Force Awakens, I thought, the sequel trilogy, I think the scores overall are okay.
Weak.
I'll say okay.
Weak.
Kylo's theme is awesome.
Kylo's theme's okay.
I like Kylo's theme.
I like Kylo's theme, but you got to admit, it's really simple. You'll never see the video.
Yeah, you didn't explain what happened.
Well, what happened was I put up the video and I got copyright claimed, or not claimed, but you know, it's an automatic bot that caught it from having Ghibli music in it. But
if you want to listen to it, PM us and we'll send you a Dropbox link.
Yeah, that works. We have a really small fan base. I'm not going to be lazy about that. But yeah, I feel like it improved The Force Awakens by a lot just by fixing the music.
Yeah, the video is awesome. It's edited beautifully. It has some really funny moments. And it's fucking awesome. And I'm really proud of Keats. And you should actually PM or DM, whatever the fuck it's called, so you can watch it. Yeah, BDM.
One last thing. Watch the movie Good Time. Just do it.
Good Time. Third favorite movie of all time. I watched it. And then
Really?
Yeah, I fucking love that movie. It's my favorite score.
Yeah, it's a brilliant score.
It's a really good score.
If they had someone scoring the person that scored Good Time, just imagine if they threw that in the Star Wars movie.
You mentioned that in your video.
I mentioned it in my video, and I think if you listen to this advice, you'll understand where I'm coming from.
Whatever you do, just don't watch it on your anniversary with your wife.
Oh my God! Yeah, I told my when I was going to technical college, I told my teacher's assistant to watch it because he's into movies too, and then he told me he watched it on like his 10th anniversary with his wife. And it's if you
Why did you recommend that to me, Keats?
I did recommend you to watch it with your wife. If you watch it, you understand why I say that. But it's pretty fucked up. But at the same time, it's a very good time. I also just want to say, like, if you've ever been curious about where we are recording this, we are recording this in Yeats' room. That we do usually in Yeats' room. Sometimes in Jessica's house.
But Jessica's moving.
But Jessica's moving, so we can't do that anymore. Yeats, I'm sitting next to his desk, and he has a very large collection of Star Wars Black Series figures posed. Food for thought, if you ever want to imagine us talking.
Yeah, we can always just, in the middle of talking, just, like, look over and just see Darth Vader and Ahsoka and Rey and Kanan.
And Rose.
And Rose and Darth Maul kissing.
So, what's your thing? What is your passion, brother?
Oh, God, I don't know. I do really like comics, and I do really like movies. I'll just say, since it's the one thing we didn't talk about in depth, I will go with music, and I will go with music instead.
Do it.
But I do really love music, and I do love performing music, and I love many different styles of music. I love listening to music that makes me want to throw up. It makes me feel amazing. And I guess the project I want to work most on next is like a fusion neo soul project called Ox King. It was a very gamer core style music that I hope to get started up soon. Really in honor of Kingdom Hearts, and we didn't talk about Keats about video games, and we didn't talk about anime, so I gotta throw those both down there.
Anime's great. Video games are great.
Yeah.
Music's great.
Anime's really cool. I've spent a lot of time watching anime now.
I don't watch a lot of anime, but I've watched a lot of the normie stuff. Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, the normie stuff is what I was on in like high school and early college, and now at this point I'm like trying to go back to the classics. Like I watched Rurouni Kenshin and Yu Yu Hakusho for the first time because we didn't have cable. Keats noted that we don't have cable before. Yeah, we haven't had cable since I was like 4 years old, 5 years, 6 maybe.
There's no point anymore. Like there was a point 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Mom, we want cable.
I want to watch.
No.
Yeah, Fairly Odd Parents, Dragon Ball, but no. So yeah.
Mom, I want to watch this. Netflix.
Yeah, we didn't. Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon were my fucking anime. So now as an adult, I'm like, I want to go back to all the stuff that kids like my age grew up on. So Rurouni Kenshin and Yu Yu Hakusho in particular interested me. Also, I'm reading One Piece, which I really like. Obviously, a lot of people really like it. It's a fan fave. Love it.
That's not anime. That's manga.
That's a manga. I'm not watching the anime. I'm also reading. Oh, well, I haven't read, but I did mention it before. Berserk is probably one of my favorite comics ever. Probably top 3. Shit's hella good. What else do I like? No, I like all type. When it comes to music, I mean, I really like. I mean, at this point, I think I've always sort of liked like atypical music or stuff that was weird, and at this point, like, that's pretty much I'm either listening to like easy listening music or like death metal. That's like the only two things I oscillate between.
What about you, Jordan? Music genres.
I've been listening to a lot of dream pop recently, and I like my punk and my hardcore. I was listening to Zabalba all day today.
You're also in a band.
Yeah, I'm in a band. We're called Danny the Street. One word. You can look it up if you want to. Danny the Street is a comic book character. He is a living sentient street who can like travel through dimensions, and he talks to you by the signs on his road. So fucking cool. Grant Morrison again. I'm telling you, this guy's a genius.
I didn't know that part about the signs.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
That either. So what do you guys think about the Mandalorian and Cassian Andor live action series? Since we never talked about it on the podcast yet.
I'm excited for both of them. Cassian Andor probably is like way off at this point, but I'm super hyped for the Mandalorian. Like, it's not like I'm like madly in love with Jon Favreau or anything, and I know he's writing all the episodes, so it could be like just okay. But I love all the talent that's involved with it at this point, and I'm just really excited for more Star Wars in live action. And fingers crossed, we'll actually see Mandalore post Return of the Jedi, the actual planet, and get a feel for what the political landscape is at that point. That's something I'm really genuinely interested in seeing. As I'm sure we all liked the Mandalore episode here. There's more in the Clone Wars that we've talked about so far. There's more Mandalore episodes coming up. That's a thread that I genuinely would like to see followed up on. So for that reason alone, and that Dave Filoni is executive producer and director of the first episode, 2 thumbs up. I'm going to be there. Cassian Andor, they have some flexibility to do stuff with his character. I think it could definitely be very interesting and fun and get a real look at the grimy side of the rebellion in a way that like Star Wars Rebels and Rogue One hasn't yet. Because I still don't feel like we've gotten like the definitive like rebellion story in the new canon, because even Rogue One and Rebels like aren't super concerned with like touching base with the rebellion all the time. So I'm excited for that reason, and I think there's a lot we don't know about Cassian Andor, so there's a lot of potential to do
I'm excited about the Cassian Andor show, to be honest. I'm really interested in like all the like the behind the scenes stuff of like that isn't the main story. So I'm super hyped. Honestly, probably more so than The Mandalorian. Although you told me Mandalorian is based off Lone Wolf and Cub.
Based off a rumor, yes, it's gonna be.
Okay,
it might
just
be
a
based
rumor?
off of Lone Wolf and Cub.
If
but
it
it's-
is though, that's badass, and I can't wait.
I'm kind of excited for both of them. Excited in different ways. You mentioned the Mandalorian episodes of the Clone Wars. I did like those episodes a lot. However, I'm not the biggest Mandalorian fan because the episodes that they come back in, I'm not super into. But I like the idea that he is like a Mandalorian himself and he's doing his own thing. So maybe like Mandalore culture can be implemented in a lot more like of a distant way. And not so much as like he's hanging out on the planet of Mandalore every day doing something. Like, I'm glad he's not going to be doing that.
I feel like we might see it in like an episode or two.
Yeah, and I think that's the perfect amount we should be getting of it.
I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I think any too much of one thing, especially with Star Wars, where people really desperately want, planet hopping and stuff, and new locations, new worlds, new characters, new aliens.
Yeah, I'm just really hoping for like something different, like stylistically, in terms of like a different look to something, a different sound, like different music to something, different look to something.
Like in Solo?
Yeah, I really like the production work in Solo, so I'm hoping for like something similar for The Mandalorian where a lot of like style and choice really stands out more so than the story, because I feel like everything has felt the same so far. Same goes for Cassian Andor. Like, I'm excited for it. The characters for Rogue One didn't really interest me, and I feel like they didn't really interest a lot of people, but I do feel like going back and giving Cassian Andor his own series gives him a lot of opportunity to be a better character. So, I'm not like head over heels excited for it. He's not my favorite character, but I feel like they could do him really good justice.
It's like we were talking about earlier, how Ray Stallone was in A New Dawn, and then Chuck Wendig was just like, oh, let me take this character and expand on it. So that's like the same with the Cassian Andor show.
That's probably what I was most excited for. It was just like someone was like, got a master list of like characters that we are flexible with. We can do whatever we want with this character. Let's give them a whole TV show. And they picked Cassian Andor, who is secondary character in Rogue One. So I give that a thumbs up just in terms of like creative decision making. Like I'd love to see them focus more on sort of new characters, not sort of haunt the legacy characters forever.
Yeah, that's a very good choice of words.
And just like focus on building out new characters. So yeah, like when I watch Rogue One again, like I have an even better connection to Cassian Andor, or if a character that pops up in a book that was established in another TV show, like that, these connections don't feel forced, and that I'm always learning something more about the character. So, yep, I'm excited.
Maybe
for
Cassian Andor could cross over to Solo.
Prince Caspian Andorian. Yeah, you're right.
Or Amelia Clark can guest star. Something like that. I think I heard Lumpy say something about Han and Chewie are on their way.
Right, we got to speed these things up because I don't want to see that guy. He made out with my girlfriend, and
I got cucked by Ryan Johnson.
Oh my God! Please tell this story.
Whoa!
Please
Yes.
tell this story.
So we were at Star Wars Celebration in Orlando, and Ryan Johnson
This is real. You can look this up.
This is actually real.
Okay, we got to do the whole thing though from the start. So we're all asleep. It's like 2 a.m.
It's
Like
so late.
we've been in line for the Last Jedi panel for like hours at this point.
I think it was like midnight. I think it's because I think he came out at midnight and then he left at like 6 a.m.
and all of us were at the point where like we had been up all day. We'd been walking the hall floor. We were tired, and we were like had been on the floor already for a while, and we had just given up on talking, and we're just let's all lay down, go to sleep, let's sleep on our backpacks.
It was impossible. It was so cold in there.
And this is factually the largest convention center in the world that we're at.
So yeah, I woke up to it's Liam Neeson, and I was like, what? Where?
Yeah, everyone's moving, everyone's talking, and everyone's trying to get up and see what's going on as quickly as possible.
There was like how many sections of the line, and Ryan Johnson comes into ours.
Yeah, he goes specifically
into our line,
which is in the mid. It's not like we're at the front of the line, like we're in the back of the line.
Yeah.
We didn't even get into the fucking panel. We waited all night.
Yeah.
The side note, but like, so that's how far Ryan Johnson had to walk to find like our line to walk into.
And he comes in, and everyone's crowded trying to get his his autograph, and I'm trying to move all my shit because I bought like action figures. I didn't want people to trample them. And my girlfriend at the time is just like in her lawn chair. I think the lawn chair I'm sitting in right now, and is just reading.
Is that the lawn chair you
No.
bought for Star Wars Celebration?
That's the one I bought for Star Celebration.
Okay.
So yeah, so she's just reading Neil Gaiman, like a comic by Neil Gaiman.
It was Coraline.
Coraline, and everyone's crowded around him. There's just so many people. Like, he's just sweating. He's a sweaty mess. Everyone's surrounding him, and she's just like not moving and just still reading. And he's like right next to her, and he just grabs her, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I'm just trying to read Neil Gaiman." And he's like, "It's gonna be over soon," or something like that. And then she got his number.
And then we never saw her
That's
again.
why I'm single now.
Star Wars Celebration was really fun.
Yeah.
It was one of my best memories.
It was like, and I told someone else this that was asking me online about like what it's like. And I was like, while we were there, like we were exhausted, we were sweaty, we were gross, we were like
Hungry.
We were
Tired.
so ready to leave when we left. And then like within 20 minutes of like being back in the real world, we were like, oh my God, what are we doing leaving? Like
We need to go back.
that was the best thing ever.
If you've ever
that was
seen-
all Star Wars all day, all weekend.
If you've ever seen season 3 finale of Lost, it's exactly that.
And then they canceled the upcoming year, so we've had to wait. We are going to Star Wars Celebration this year. The three of us. Jessica's not going to be there, but me, Jordan, and Keats. And yeah, it sucks Jessica wasn't here. We didn't even get to acknowledge that Jessica's not here. She's out of the country right now. But
She's coming back.
She's coming back, but she wasn't here for Life Day, which sucks. But oh well. So you will never learn more about it.
But yeah, let us know if you're going to come to Star Wars Celebration Chicago.
Yeah, we'd
'cause
love to-
we
we'd
would
love to say
love
hi.
to meet at least one person who listens to our podcast.
All right, enough of the chit chat. Let's get down to brass tacks here. There were questions that were asked, and
Like
we are
so
prepared
many
to
of
give
them.
answers. A whole 3 of them.
So many.
But we would love to answer.
Thank you for all the people that submitted. All 2 of you.
Live.
All right, so the first question is from Logan. So this can
I
go
see
to...
you, Logan. I see you interacting with everything. I see you following on Instagram of like 3 people. Thank you.
It says, so this can go for everyone. What is your guys' favorite time period? Meaning Old Republic, prequel era, Clone Wars, original trilogy, etc. In either canon or Legends. Thanks! Exclamation point. No, thank you, Logan, for
Thank
all
you,
your continued
Logan.
support. We know you. We see ya. Thank you.
Thank you for interacting. Thank you
Yes.
for listening.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to tell us we suck too. I want to say that more. We suck, so just tell us when we do. Okay.
Jordan, you answer the question first.
Yes.
Oh God, Logan, this is a lot. My favorite era. I mean, obviously, I love the original trilogy for movies wise, but like comic wise, I love in between episode 3 and 4, like the Rise of the Empire and Vader, like becoming like the Sith Lord that we know. I always wanted more like dark times in the new canon, but I guess we're not really getting that. I just love the idea of Vader hunting Jedi. That's why I always hated the Inquisitors.
Yeah, I'm not too big of a fan of the Inquisitors,
Yeah.
but I don't really mind them either.
Yeah, I just want to see Vader like hunting Jedi. He's so full of hate. That's what he's like. His sole purpose is now. It's just to destroy the Jedi Order. So I always love that. I guess just following Vader in that timeline. But of course, I love my original trilogy characters. So I guess the original trilogy is my favorite timeline.
Cool.
Yeah, I think my favorite, and this is after a lot of retrospect, but I think my favorite is just the prequel era in general. The prequels aren't my favorite films overall. I still love, I still think A New Hope is my favorite Star Wars film. But the prequel era has so many interesting dynamics. I love the setup. Like, I think we talked about it in the first Phantom Menace review. The original trilogy has like such a specific setup, and replicating that formula or like improving on and expanding that formula has always been so important to like a lot of the new stories in Star Wars. But for me, the prequel trilogy, I think it brilliantly just sort of sets that aside and really tells its whole own story with a whole other different dynamic, whole other different types of conflicts. And to me, like, the role the Jedi play is kind of at least in the time of the Phantom Menace, is kind of like Star Trek, which I really like. They're like essentially like mediators. Like they go in and they help other people to solve their problems, which I really like. I like that whole setup. I'd love to see more stories in that era, whether it be with Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon, or with new characters. I still think there's plenty to explore in that era, and I'd love to see more.
My favorite era. So just to say right off the bat, I don't have any knowledge of Old Republic. I played about the first hour of the Old Republic, the Knights of the Old Republic video game.
Okay, well, so we should address this up front. Jordan, what are your thoughts on the Old Republic?
I don't really know anything about it either. I played the game for a little bit and I hated it.
I really like Old Republic.
I love those trailers though.
But the trailers are cool.
Those trailers are fucking sick.
Those trailers are sick. I don't know.
Director of Deadpool, direct the Star Wars movie, please.
Yeah. I haven't absorbed everything Old Republic, but I love Knights of the Old Republic, the game and the comic.
I read a couple of the comics. I just remember them being okay. I read them back in middle school, so I don't really remember too well.
Just because that's what everyone was fishing for, so I feel like we should have all addressed it directly. Like,
I wasn't thinking that, but okay.
Yeah, like a lot of people like Old Republic, and I think with good reason. I think there are a lot of great characters, great stories in there. It's just I like the prequel trilogy era more.
Oh, I did read probably more than half of the Darth Bane Path of Destruction book, but that's about as much knowledge as that I do know. I do like the look of it. Like I like the whole. It kind of reminds me of like Batman the animated series, like future look. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's like a retro future.
Retro future, yeah. I really like that look a lot, but like I don't have a lot of knowledge of that, so I don't want to like say that because I feel like I'm going on a limb. So I think I'll definitively say the prequel trilogy as well, or the prequel era, just because like you have the original trilogy and now the sequel trilogy that's basically mimicking it, style like visually, it's mimicking it in some ways. That's very like environment heavy, where it's like snow planet, forest planet, sand planet. And I think something a lot more interesting is something like the prequel era stuff, where you have like Naboo, which is like a Greek city of like the Mandalore planet, which is like
I love that shit so much more. I love planets.
Minecraft planet.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to reference and to go off of. Like obviously all those planets, still exist in the original era, but we don't really get to see it all that much. And I like how quietly oppressed all these planets are. I think that's like an interesting story beat. That's my answer. Prequel. I would love to go to sleep in an empty Senate chamber.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Okay. This is a fun one. This is from Trey. In fact, Trey asked 2 questions, and there are many components to them. Trey even jokes about how serious that Trey takes these questions. Are your Star Wars tabletop RPG sessions as entertaining as your podcast? Who plays them? And is Yeats the DM? I can answer the last one. I am the DM.
It's so obvious.
I am the FBI.
I'd just be like, I don't know what happens. I don't care. I can never be the DM. That sounds so stressful.
It's a lot of moving parts. I attempted to be one at one point, and just the planning itself I couldn't get through.
I think they are pretty fun. The last one we did was awesome. We were like standing up and like I was like pointing a blaster at you and we like acted it out and stuff.
Yeah, they're real fun. We had because that was like a more casual one. We've been doing it more casual recently, but
just because between all the stuff that we're doing, I just don't have time to work on it. Because I was doing an original story and I really loved the original story, but just I don't have time to work on it anymore. I had fun like improvising that story that we did. About a ghost lost in hyperspace travel. That was fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's pretty cool. That should be a real story.
Yes.
Yeah. I was the one who fought the ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we started the RPG, it was before Rogue One was coming out. It was like Rogue One was on the precipice.
Yeah, and it was like a tie-in. I designed it as like a tie-in story to Rogue One potentially, and then when it came out, I just adjusted a few bits.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like directly tied anymore.
Yeah, it was pretty independent. Yeah, we didn't really get very far. We got to like 2.
There's a lot of
chapters.
sessions, like
there were sessions, but I mean, like story-wise, there's like two chapters that we got through.
It was like either the first or second time we played till like 4 a.m, And then
I'm pretty sure there was one day we spent like over 12 hours playing. Yeah, it was.
I think it was the first day.
I think it was the first day. Yeah, like no one wanted to stop.
Because also, like, everyone had to learn how to play.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, everyone had to learn.
Like in game, people would play and then they would act out like a minute of experience or a minute of choices or whatever they're doing, and then we would go around the table. And it would take like an hour to get around the table for 1 minute of experience for everyone.
there was
Keats,
also just like a million people.
Who was with you when you were fighting the Deep Rock Boji?
It was just me.
It was just you. Oh, you went by yourself.
It was me and Grom, but Grom got injured or something.
It was crazy cool. That was a lot of fun.
Who's your character, Keats?
It's a really bad name, but my name is Tufexis Caden. And I am not a Plo Koon.
Yeah.
I'm a Keldor, and it's really convenient being a Keldor sometimes. I can like really, Yeats will throw me a scenario, and then I'll be like, well, guess what? I'm a Keldor. So I can see in the dark. I can climb rocks. I can scale this wall. I don't know. I was an adopted child, and my mother was a Twi'lek. And I think she was like, her home planet was Naboo, and so that's where I grew up. And then once the Empire took over, like a lot of closet specious people found her and like brutally murdered her, and then that led me to the path of like becoming like a gray character, like a criminal who like worked to serve the good. And she would teach me about the Force, but I was not a Jedi myself or Force sensitive. I just knew things. Oh, and I had the Jedi Crusader pendant opposite Luke's from Last Jedi of Darth Revan's, the purple one. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what everyone said. Who is your character, Jordan?
My character is Karut Muftawa. I am a Thorian, ex-Jedi, now a rebel soldier. I was discovered by Dooku when he was a Jedi. He found me and brought me into the Order. My story is basically one time I forgot shit. I know I killed someone and I killed someone with my lightsaber, and then another person was just like, "Oh my God, you're a Jedi. Thank you for saving me." And I had this. It was the first time I ever murdered. So I was like, "Wow, I can't believe this is like how people view the Jedi, like murderers." So then I threw away my lightsaber and then kind of cut myself off from the Force, and then joined the Rebel Alliance.
Cool. Yeah, I'm trying to, because I had to come up with so many characters. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, you
were
like
mainly
10
like Mia
characters.
Mortel.
Huh?
Mia Mortel.
Yeah, I did play Mir Mortel a lot. She was a Bothan Fulcrum agent.
That's a really good name. That's like the most legitimate.
Mia Mortel is an awesome name.
That's like the most legitimate Star Wars name I've heard.
Yeah, I really loved doing it. I loved all the characters I came up with. To me, they're all canon in Star Wars. I'm like madly in love with all my characters. But Mir Mortel was a Bothan rebel, Fulcrum agent who had recruited them, and I came up with like a backstory for her on her homeworld, and I had a lot of fun because of the canon wipe. The source books for all the planets and stuff like Bathui and Duros, like all those planets that were like huge in the EU, were all clean slates. So I could take what was there before and mess around with it to serve what I wanted. So like the first episode that took place was on the moon of Salonia, which is a Corellian moon in the old EU that was like fully green, and then just for the purposes of my story I changed it so that it had been totally strip mined and was dead, and that there was all the Salonians were living underground on Corellia. Little things like that would be fun. I think my favorite character that I wrote that I never got to use was on Duros, called Killiam Squad, who was essentially Squilliam Fancy Son from SpongeBob SquarePants, who was meant to be like a foil character for one of the other characters in the game. And he had a unibrow, he had like a corduroy red vest, and
Wow.
and he was like one of the top racers and sort of like a fashion sponsor, like a big fashion on Coruscant would pay for him to wear, all these extravagant clothes and race these big cars.
Sounds awesome.
Sounds like you have a lot of ideas.
Star Wars should be more cool. Get cooler, Star Wars. Come the fuck on. Less sword and sandal shit. We need race car drivers and Killiam Squad.
Dude, picture it's Ryan Johnson. He'll put in his movie.
Dave Filoni probably has just as many ideas.
There's a lot of cool stuff in Clone Wars. I mean, that's where I took for Clone Wars was loose with the rules, man. I mean, it's results Very good. So we need more of that for sure in Star Wars. Okay, ready to move to the last question?
Yeah, last question.
Okay, what are your Star Wars holiday traditions? Do you like to marathon the films before going to the yearly theatrical release? Do you consider Episode 5 to be a holiday movie?
Why would you consider it a holiday movie?
I don't know. We're going to have to
Snow.
cross-analyze that.
I guess just snow, yeah.
I love Hoth. That's my favorite planet, and I have like almost every Hoth Lego that's come out, except
I love the
one of them.
Snowspeeder. The Snowspeeder is one of my favorite
Snowspeeder
vehicles.
is a
Snowspeeders are
super
awesome,
cool
yeah.
original trilogy design. Yeah, that thing looks great.
Snowspeeders are sick. AT-AT, like probably the most known like Imperial ship, or if you want to consider it a ship.
Imperial Star Destroyers and TIE Fighters, man. Those are like bread and butter. But, you know, AT-ATs
AT-ATs are
is probably
super
right with
popular,
it.
man.
Yeah, they are.
To answer your question, I don't think we have any traditions.
Well, you know, to be fair, when, I mean, definitely I think I would always, even when, like, I wasn't, because I've only been, like, super into Star Wars, like, recently. But, I would definitely watch like all the movies at least once a year, I think. Like,
Yeah, I think so. That's fair.
yeah, definitely. Like there was just one day I was like, yeah, I need to watch all the Star Wars movies.
I remember our dad had like a copy of all the Star Wars movies on VHS. I have very like a lot of memories of just like sitting, not even watching the movies, but just like staring at
the box.
staring at the box and the spine more specifically, where they had a character on each spine.
Yeah.
I like for the Phantom Menace, it was
a really cool
Qui-Gon
box.
and Obi-Wan.
I watched all of them before Force Awakens.
Yeah, I tried to do it every
think I
year.
did.
I watched
When we saw Rogue One, we watched A New Hope right after.
Oh yeah, we did do that.
yeah, we did.
forgot
And
about that.
I watched all the prequels before Rogue One came out. And
I don't think I did.
Yeah, Keats, no, you're like, why are you doing that? And I was like, I don't know, I just want to. I had a that was
Yeah,
the-
it was like, it's going to be completely, tonally different than any of these movies.
It was the first time I'd watched Phantom Menace and Clones in like a long time, and I remember really enjoying them. I also like kind of watched them in the background, which is probably a good way to watch the prequels. It'll be nice to watch Star Wars movies without like a
quiet.
paper and pen,
You fake
like in
fan.
the future. I love the prequels. I got a prequel face tattoo.
Said you're not joking.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah, and definitely when Force Awakens came out, there was a lot of watching all the movies.
Did any of you guys cry when Force Awakens came out?
When it came out,
Well, I mean, like when you saw it for the first time.
no. I cried the second viewing. I think when Han and Leia got together for the first time.
I just remember when Han Solo died. I just remember saying, "What the fuck?" and looking to my friend Danny, and he was just like, "What the fuck?" And I was just like, "I don't know."
I didn't cry the first viewing.
I will tell you, I cried watching the trailer like a dozen times in a row.
Yeah,
like,
it's-
I was.
Oh, the original, the teaser, the first teaser. I watched so many times.
Not the teaser. I was at work when the teaser came out. When I watched the trailer, the full trailer that was at Star Wars Celebration.
Chewie Your Home.
Huh?
Chewie Your Home.
Yeah, that one. I was in Boston.
Chewie Your Home.
And my girlfriend was in class, and for hours, and I was home, and I had been watching Clone Wars all weekend because that's at that point in time the season 6 was on Netflix, and so I was curious whether or not I was gonna like Clone Wars, and so I was watching season 6. So knew that Star Wars Celebration was coming out, that the teaser was gonna be out there, so I was like prepping myself and hyping myself up, watching Clone Wars, watching Mace Windu and Jar Jar bounce around, and then the trailer like hit at like probably like 11 p.m. or something, and I just watched it probably for 30 minutes straight, like over and over again, and it was just the craziest thing, and I was just like crying pretty straight through for like the first 3 minutes. It was intense.
Yeah.
Sounds intense.
It was nuts. I was like,
Yeah, I'm thinking about it now. I'm just getting goosebumps. You remember? I remember I was like sleeping in my brother's room. I had my bed on the ground.
I just wanted to know everything. Like I
Yeah.
was like, who are these people?
Yeah,
What's
it's the
going
same.
on?
I don't think I cried when I saw the teaser, but I just remember like I have like a couple of teasers and trailers I can think of in my head that I consider to be like beautiful and like works of art in themselves. And like the first teaser for Force Awakens is just absolutely beautiful. It's like perfectly executed. It gives you like zero information except like Empire's back and there's a new bad guy. That's like pretty much all you get to know. But it's absolutely beautiful. And I don't think I cried for Force Awakens when I saw it in the theater, but I did go home And there's a video online of Oscar Isaac playing acoustic guitar to a Bill Murray cover, or Bill Murray like song about Star Wars, and he's playing a cover of it. And it's really beautiful. It's really pretty. And I listened to it on loop for like 10 minutes, and then I cried thinking about how lucky I am to have Star Wars in my life.
Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi, there's like a very strong chance I'll cry like when watching both of those.
Yeah,
Revenge of the Sith more so. There's like so many moments that are just like,
Don't even get me started. I'm definitely gonna cry. Like, this time.
Anytime all three of us hang out together, whether we're recording the podcast or not, we always mention how hyped we are to watch Revenge of the Sith.
I want to watch it so badly. That's gonna be the only reason I'm gonna cry. Is like finally I fucking made it.
It's gonna be like the crawl, and then like it pans down, you see the space battle, you're like, oh my god, finally.
yeah.
I've been looking forward to this. Hope you know us a little bit better. Well, it's 1 o'clock on Life Day, so. Oh wait, I think I just heard the Millennium Falcon. I think we got to get out of here. I think it's gonna be pretty weird when Han sees your Millennium Falcon tattoo.
I know that's really weird. I just
Yeah,
really
he's like, are you like into robots? Or like you into my old friend L3?
Yeah. I love her so much.
Yeah, I have a friend who's into robots. He's a weirdo. Oh my god, is that a stormtrooper? Is he trying to get Han?
Is he holding the gun by the magazine and not by the holding spot?
Yes. Well, guys, it's been a blast. Happy holidays.
We hope you have
Life
happy
Day.
holidays.
Yeah. Another year of Star Wars. Literally another year. Like, we're still going to be doing this a year from now.
Episode 9 comes out in a year. Good luck to you.
Good luck to us.
Good luck to us, but good luck to you as well. Happy holidays. I hope you get something good for Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you may celebrate.
This has been Yeats.
This has been Jordan.
This has been Keats.
Happy Life Day.
Happy Life Day.
A day that takes